Hi, good morning, everyone. I just felt the urge to put this out today because of the incident that has happened on Tuesday in Lebanon. And this is prophetic times, obviously, and this is something to do with what's happening in the atmosphere in regards to planetary alignments and in regards to this prophecy that has been held within ancient cultures for many aeons. And I just wanted to touch base on once over our energetic bodies. So the thing is, you might not notice obviously unless you meditate on these planets or their energies frequently and you notice the cycles within yourself. But these are very esoteric traditions, and so there is a lot of hidden knowledge when it comes to things such as astrology, astrotheology, and all these things that are very ancient and are rooted in our culture as a civilization and humanity species. So the attack from these forces are well planned, and they know that the mystical and magical side of us is essentially who we are. So they take these energies of the planet and manipulate them and heighten them for their purpose, so that the energy essence is used to propagate more of what they want, which is basically war and separation. So that's just a sort of brief understanding of what the planets and how they affect us work. So with Mars, yeah, it is associated with war, and there was a squaring of Mars and Jupiter, I believe. Let me just double check the second planet. Yes, Jupiter. So that's another alignment. I'm not too sure about how the sections in the system work, but obviously it's a heightened state of that planet. So this is the reason why they chose such an energy, because it just enforces what they want to propagate. So having that in mind, obviously we actually have the power to influence planets rather than having the planets influence us. So this is, the cosmic self. This is who we are. We are consciousness, and everything we relate with relates with us. So, they just want us to feel hopeless and helpless and forget who we truly are, because we have a lot of power, immense power, especially when it comes to ritual magic, which they've hijacked and taken off us and made us feel guilty and made us feel shameful about things that are divine in principle, and they've used it and they've manipulated it for their benefit, because we are magical and that is what we're here to do. And a lot of people think that it's new age and it's hullaballah or whatever you want to call it, because I've heard it, and it's not, because when you notice your ritualistic self, you are essentially your primordial self, which is your most powerful self. And things like animals and things like plants and species, they are sentient, and they aren't just things that are separate from us, because we have that connection. And symbology is very powerful for these beings. I used to do graphic design, and I have a knowledge in geometry and sacred geometry now, because I've progressed from the traditional or the sort of mainstream thinking of principles of design, because everything is related. And these animals and totems that they use as symbols or logos, basically willed power, and they have an immense force. So it is not like, just happenstance that, for example, all police have the eagle as their symbol here in New South Wales, and I believe, CIA also have as their totem or their symbol. So that's very specific, and it has deep esoteric meaning. So all these things also heighten one's magic, and we are in a magical world. So having said that, these are principles that we know innately within us, and because they've been hijacked for malevolent use, we tend to suppress that part of us, which is our essence, and we really need to come back to that, because that is our power, actually. And working with esoteric traditions, or sort of the ritualistic side of us, where prayer and these forces work with us, within us, helps strengthen our manifestation and magic. And I'm not talking about manifestation as in I'm going to manifest a car. I'm talking about true manifestation on an individual level that affects your neighborhood, and it affects your community, and it affects your greater whole as a species. So we are interconnected, and we need to realize that united we obviously stand, and divided we fall. So the Mars energy is all about separation. So I also wanted to talk about the fact that this has to do with Shiva, because if you don't know, Shiva is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a god of destruction. So this is something that's very well known in the Vedic culture, because in Western culture we don't actually accept more of these gods and goddesses, because we are going back to the goddess worship, which was known in Shambhala and ancient Vedic worship of the goddess and the triune of the goddess. The three phases that women go through, which are very much to do with Earth and her cycles as well. So these are ancient traditions, and they stem in civilizations such as Lemuria, which I was a part of as a Lyran starseed. I have memories of that civilization, and these forces that don't want unity have been lying so much about our civilization and our culture, and have demised us so much, because they wanted to take over and use our sacredness for their benefit. So for power, basically, not for anything else. And it's nothing to do with I guess it's nothing bad or satanic to be magical, because it's just who we are, really. And I know there's a lot of fear and programming about these things, but it's just our natural state of being. So we all operate in the psychic realms, and we all operate in the astral realms. So that is the first level of manifestation. And when you can broaden out into your community and have care for the greater good, you're able to do things like influence the weather. You're able to do things like communicate with Gaia and have, animals come to you as totems, have all sorts of things happen to you. And it is magical, and it's just who we are, really. I just want to enforce that because with the divine feminine principles, we are going to have more women and more care, genuine care for each other, because that is just our natural state of being. And as we know, women are so powerful, and they're so all-encompassing, and we can multitask without having to just focus on one thing. So it's an amazing thing to be a woman at this time. And I'm blessed, and every single other woman is blessed, because this is such a revelationary time to be a part of. And I don't want to focus too much on the energies that accumulate because of the forces, but I just wanted to touch with Lord Shiva. So he is a really powerful force, and used wisely, he can destruct the things in your life that are serving no longer for you, such as ego. And since I have personally been working with Lord Shiva, he has shown me the separation mentality that I had of I. And there is no such thing as I in those realms, because we are all interconnected, and it should be we. Especially when we're talking about relations and friendship or whatever, it has to be always we, because we are all interconnected, and the greater good of this planet and of the spiritual realms must be the foundation, the focus, the most important thing that we align to. Because if we don't, then other things are able to influence us. And because that is the law of separation, that is not who we are. We aren't separated. We are one species, and the forces want us to forget who we are. They've already demised our culture, our civilization, which are intertwined, and our knowledge about extraterrestrial life. And, because these are things that have always been known. And also, there was one other point that I had thought of, but these 2 points are also very main in their agendas, because this was the demise of our civilization. So it is something that we need to regain and realize who we are. So there is more than I'd like to say, because these are going to be very harsh and tribulating times now, because the war within ourselves, the war of separation, the war that has been so insidious in our culture, in Western culture especially, has to break down. And this is what all the prophecies have been saying, because mankind has been separated from Earth, mankind has been separated from themselves, and everything, the cosmos, and who they truly are. And it's it's in the First Nations prophecies, it's in all those Vedic prophecies, the Shambhala's prophecies, all these biblical prophecies, obviously, and Islamic prophecies, and so many others that indicate there will be a time when great tribulation occurs, and we will have a big test as a species. And we need to understand what's happening, because there is so much that we can create, and we need to be able to use our magic in a positive way, so that we can create the new earth that we're all here to participate in. And I just feel that there can be a lot of confusion when we look at the mainstream media. So I don't feel personally, and I do also think that planetarily, the mass media is something that we should be putting our energy towards. So if an incident happens, if something happens, you will find out either way from someone else, or you will have something come to you. You'll know, and there's really no need for this heightened state all the time, which is what the mass media are constantly projecting. There's nothing beneficial about listening to their dribble, because it's just a constant projection of what they would like to see on the earth, and it has nothing to do with who we essentially are. So it is, the reactionary self. And so a lot of people talk about this. If you don't know David Icke, he talks a lot about this, and there's a whole bunch of people. But it's important to just be aware. Self-awareness is very powerful, because when you're conscious of your thoughts, when you're conscious of your being, then you are able to create more authentically. So in a highly traumatized culture, so I don't want to focus too much on trauma, but it's very important to heal your own wounds so that you can focus and become your true primordial self without interruption. And it is time now that we claim sovereignty, which we are. We've always been sovereign, but it's time that we collectively do this and remember our true, authentic being. I would like to thank first of all, I'd like to thank Lord Shiva, because he has been a very powerful tool for me in disintegrating the ego more and following the truth. And also his force is not to be reckoned with. And don't be disillusioned into thinking that just because he's in front of CERN and all these things, that he will fight for the force that is evil on this world. No, because he is such he is a god to show that the evil is within us, actually. And if you want him to destruct the evil, then you should be able to work with his energies more. So don't think anything outside of you is greater than what's within you. And that's something I just wanted to instill. And practice meditation, practice in your own time what you resonate with, what you synchronize with, follow that. And there are tools that you can use, such as salt, to prevent things like psychic attacks, or just to heighten your mental abilities. And you can just put a bit of salt in your kitchen, for example, and just intend that you want to leave all negative thoughts, and just recycle that every week, so that you can heighten your mental abilities. Because this spiritual warfare, or whatever you want to call it, this internal dialogue, can be overpowering, and sometimes we can feel helpless. But working with soul, working with Mother Gaia, the goddesses, the Aryan goddesses, working your Merkaba magic, which is your heart magic, your divine self, your untouchable light force, working these things are very powerful tools. So Merkaba magic, you can search John Velo Melchizedek. So I've referenced him before, but he's a great author, and he's a Native American traditionally, and he fuses a lot of these, a lot of people call it New Age or spiritual understandings with shamanic principles, and yeah, so it works hand in hand in his works, and he's looked at esoteric principles, sacred geometry, and energy, and all these things. So I highly recommend his books. I mentioned Serpent of Light last time, but the sacred geometry books he's got are to do with Flower of Life, and they have the second Merkaba magic, and it's a very powerful tool that you can use daily in your practice when you're meditating. And it has massive impacts in your life, and it strengthens your awareness. And we think consciousness we think the brain is the thing that operates us. No, we actually need to be in our heart space, in our true consciousness, which is in the Merkaba, and we need to be able to come back to our primordial self and use the heart as the master of the brain, because the brain is just an interface, and pure consciousness comes from the heart. So yeah, this is something that, with proper principalities, with proper understandings through yourself, through teachings, and John Velo does a very good job with his teachings, you will be able to heighten that light. So if you're serious about this and you're a light, I mean, like, you want to progress in your own magic, because it is serious stuff, then please have a look at it. If you're new to meditation, just try simple techniques, and I feel like Vipassana is a good one. Just focus on your breath, sensations, and stuff like this first, because jumping straight into that can be meddling. So just focus on what you can, even if you don't know Vipassana, which is just basically awareness of your sensations, first of all your breath, and then everything else within your body. So if you're not doing that, then you can just meditate like freestyle, or focus on one thing so that you have a conscious focus that doesn't sort of waver your thinking when you're in meditation, and then progress to things like focusing on your heart space with the Merkaba teaching. And these tools, are very powerful, and I find, you can call it protection, or whatever you want to call it, empowerment. I feel like that's a better use against the forces of separation and of anything of disharmony, because we're here to create more harmony and unconditional love. And when we're moving towards this dimensional portal, which is what is happening, we need to be able to face things, and whatever's happening, collective thing, we're allowing this. So and we've been doing this, and I'm not saying that we all consciously agree to that, but we need to be more unjudging and aware of our own self, so that we can combat things that we don't want. And it's not about, judging demons and evil spirits, because those things are within us, and when used properly, which is for the betterment of humanity, they are powerful forces, and we can use them to get rid of what's not serving us. And that is the Kali Yuga, that's what we're in. And I am, to be honest, in that level now of trying to transcend the demons within. So it's a tough gig, but you can do this with more inner work. So it does take patience, and it takes perseverance. So just have faith and confidence in the longer picture of things, because we will be forming a new humanity collectively, and this is an intergalactic I don't want to say war. It is an intergalactic war, though. So it is something that is happening within the realms of the cosmos, not just on Earth. And there are many positive ETs, neutral ETs that are helping us at the moment. And it is a very commonplace thing to be able to get downloads, telepath with the extraterrestrials and all these things, because we just innately are built to function that way, so that we can receive information and be able to be within the energy and energy fields of these beings. And the more that you allow, the more that will come to you. So just learning to let go of this paradigm is not going to be easy, but the more you do it within your own life, the more that it ripples throughout the universe and multiverse. So, I personally, I'm taking a vow to stop buying anything from corporations, and that's a very difficult thing in a city. So that's my own stance, and I'm trying very hard to do that. So and I'm talking about in every aspect, and you'll find just the smallest things are from corporations. So it's a very slow step, but it's a big step, where you probably think, oh, it's just one thing, but to come to that point, it's a big step, for me anyway, because I'm just, inundated with the military industrial complex, inundated with all these corporate entities, because supermarkets and all these things are corporate entities. So it's a difficult task, but it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. So that comes from within you. It doesn't come from without you, from what is already there. The more boundaries you put up, you'll find that the more things that you haven't noticed before will come to you. And when I say letting in, you have to be careful with what you let in as well. So you work well with boundaries and letting in. So that is sort of the Merkaba magic. Focusing on what you want, and also having solid boundaries, not obsessive boundaries, just so that you know exactly what your boundaries are. Because like, for example, a geometry field cannot be made without lines, and the lines are the boundaries. So if you want to create something, just know what you want to create. And working with those two elements of boundaries and focusing on what you want and allowing more into your life, then you will manifest more of your magic. So allowing is a very important tool. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say, and I do really pray for peace and harmony and love to reign on all beings, because we are all sentient, and there needs to be no judgment. We need to come out of judgment, and we need to come out of yeah, I think that's the main thing. We need to come out of judgment and really see what we are creating as a species. And yeah, reclaim back our magical powers as humanity. Okay, so that's all I have to say for today. Namaste. I hope you have a good week ahead, and just focus on your pure intentions, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, whoever you ask, always ask for help, and it will come to you. Okay.